Welcome to another episode of Stop Waiting for Friday. So, today we're talking about routine. Is routine important? Do we need routine? Like, or can we just go with the flow? Freedom is being able to choose what's good for oneself, right? Like having the freedom to do what you know is good for you. And discipline is that inner awareness and control. And we live in a world where there's so much stuff. Like, there's a lot of things out there. There's like a lot, right? We can all agree to that. And to just want to be free, do you want to indulge in all of the endlessness? But if you have discipline and if you have that inner awareness, there's this compass. There's this compass of this way, this way. So you don't get lost in the sauce, lost in the sauce of life. There's this excerpt that I read from author of Discipline Equals Freedom, Joko Willink, and he was a Navy SEAL for 20 years. So he said, while discipline and freedom seem like they sit on opposite sides of the spectrum, they're actually very connected. Freedom is what everyone wants, to be able to act and live with freedom. But the only way to get to a place of freedom is through discipline. If you want financial freedom, you have to have financial discipline. If you want more free time, you have to have a more disciplined time management system. You also have to have the discipline to say no to things that eat up your time. Things like random YouTube videos, clickbait on the internet, and even events that you agree to attend when you know you don't want to be there. Discipline equals freedom applies to every aspect of life. If you want more freedom, get more discipline. I feel like discipline can be a heavy word for a lot of us to digest because I know, at least from my experience, the word discipline just kind of feels like work. I think there are some words that we attach to discipline, and we have an idea about what discipline is that makes it a little bit more difficult to digest. But I think there is flexibility within structure, and I don't think we look at it that way, right? There's structure, and then there's the opportunity to be flexible within that structure. If, for example, I create my daily to-do list. I do this every day. I have a daily schedule. And I remember sharing this with my friend before because he was telling me that he doesn't know where his time is going. And I was saying, something that has helped me tremendously is every night I create a daily schedule. Every single hour is accounted for. Whether it be rest, whether it be creative time, whether it be work, I plug it in there. And he said, that sounds like a lot. Automatically his mind goes into, I have to check everything off of this list. But for me, that's not what it is. It's just so that I have some structure in my day so that I can be accountable of my time and what's happening. And I can also always go back into this daily checklist, and I can rearrange things. And that's where that flexibility comes in. It doesn't need to be this. There can also be, okay, I had this plan, but something came up because ultimately, God laughs at man's plan. We give God our plans, and God is like, and, life happens and unfolds how it does. But there's just that accountability aspect, right? Because you are also a creator and you want to make sure what you are creating, which is mostly through the time that you have here, the time that we're using here in this physical realm. You want to make sure that you're using it to create, the life that you're saying you want to create. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. Just because you create a schedule or are creating a routine or are trying to stick to a routine, it doesn't mean that it needs to be hard or difficult or stressful. It doesn't mean you need to put pressure on yourself. Have fun with it. Be playful with it. I think we get to be so serious about so many things, and especially when it comes to these sort of topics where like the daily routine or the checklist or how to be productive or getting things done, it gets to be this very serious, hardcore topic. And it's just like, be playful in life. Be playful with your daily schedule. And also it's about checking in with yourself. And it's all relative because we all have different lifestyles. So, you don't need to create this idea that I have a daily schedule and I must follow everything on this daily schedule. And if I don't, I'm a failure or I'm lazy or I haven't been productive, because I feel like that's the mindset that a lot of us can get into when we don't finish finish our checklist or our daily to-do list, or we don't adhere to our routine. But chill. Like, we can chill and we can relax, and we can set some guidelines for things that we'd like to work towards, some things that we like to have more discipline in. And yeah, every single day, second, moment is an opportunity to be better. And my best friend, as he was doing this checklist, he sent me a message every day. So like the first day he sent me a message update, and he's like, to-do list, didn't finish anything on the to-do list today, we'll do better tomorrow. And I love that, because I loved how he was like, he still had this daily schedule in mind. And he realized that, oh, I didn't do anything on it today. So okay, boom, opportunity. Now I have an opportunity to at least get one thing done on this daily schedule the next day. And then the next day he came and he said, okay, I did this, but midway I kind of went and drifted away and kind of lost track of my time. And it was just very beautiful to see how he was being playful with this daily schedule, and it not being, man, I can't do this, or this is too much, or this is too strict. So I invite you guys to play around with where is my time going? What am I doing with my day? Show up. But the way you show up can look different. It doesn't need to be, like I said, in this very rigid way. And it can be playful and it can be fun. For about 2,600 years, monks have followed a very specific routine. Why? Like, I'm not saying be a monk, but they do look kind of peaceful. They do look like they are enjoying life. So, yeah, there has to be something to it. There are some things that a monk does as a part of their daily routine. And I actually found this super, super interesting because, when you think of a monk and just their grace and how peaceful they are, and also just how dedicated they are, they are some of the most dedicated humans in the world. They're dedicated to really discovering themselves and world peace and and connecting with God. So I thought it was very interesting to kind of tap into the day in the life of a monk. The first thing that a monk does in their daily routine is that they wake up early. And this is probably one of the main things that scares a lot of people away. The idea that you need to wake up early in order to be successful or whatever the case may be. And this is very subjective now because it is relative to our lifestyles. Before we were so invested um, into our jobs and all of these other aspects that have developed in society, even down to the lighting and the electricity and the technology and all of these different aspects. There was circadian rhythm, and this is the body's biological clock that kind of tells you when you need rest and tells you when you should wake up, and is very much in conjunction with the rest of nature. And it's funny because I live in the middle of a rice field, and it's the most interesting thing to wake up to is the sound of dogs barking, chickens clucking, geckos doing that little gecko sound, and certain different bugs and everything. And you literally, it's like one big song, birds chirping, and just one big song of all the life around us waking up. And I remember thinking once, and I've lived in rice fields and these type of environments for a while now, over the course of 2 years. And when you hear all of this life, waking up at about 5 a.m., then you think, that's pretty interesting. Like, what is it? How come the dog is barking and the bird is chirping and the gecko is, I don't even know what sound, the gecko is geckoing. And, the bugs are making all these sounds, but all at once. And it makes you scratch your head. Am I supposed to be up too? Is this my sign to wake up as well? And at first I used to fight it. I put pillows over my head and things over my ear and just like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready to get up. And then I stopped fighting it and then I just woke up. Because I took it as, this is the time that life is getting up. So why not? Let's just not fight this. Let's just get out of bed. But again, this is now relative to who you are and what job you have and what your career is and where you're living and what your lifestyle is. So I think the main thing here is to wake up early enough where you don't have to rush. To wake up at a time where you have time to, breathe, to appreciate breath. Not the first thing you need to do is jet out of bed when, like, press stop on the alarm and jet out of bed, but you have time to actually wake up and, wow, another opportunity to breathe. How amazing is that? Or, just you have time to allow the system to calibrate from rest to wakefulness. You want to start your day with a clear mind. The second thing that monks do when they wake up is make their bed. And this is really interesting because monks typically have very limited items that they sleep with. I believe they have about 3 items as a bed, and they still make their bed. And this was very well put because we normally don't think about how much time we spend in our rooms and how much time we spend in the bed. And it's said that we spend about 1/3 of our life there, so about 30% of our life is spent in our bedrooms. And 30% is a lot. When you do anything for that amount of time, habits form. And habits are, they make our conditioning, and then it becomes how we perceive the world. And making the bed is just not about doing a chore, but it really is about how you want to live your life. It's said that these create habits like procrastination and solution-based mindset to complete assignments. And then there's also carelessness. Just think about how your day plays out. If that is something that you constantly do you tend to be more of a person that is a procrastinator? Are you a person that's like, oh, it'll get taken care of later, or I can do it later, or, and it never gets done? Or if it does get done, it gets done it takes a while for it to actually get done. And if you're the kind of person that you're up and you're at it and you're just like, all right, like, let's get this day started. How does your day look? Do you feel like you are more, of a goal-oriented person and you get things done? Is that how it plays out for you? And just look at the way that your morning starts, and just that simple process of, do I make my bed in the morning or not? And then look at some other aspects. Do you show up on time for work? Do you complete all assignments, whether it be in school or at work, or if you're an entrepreneur? Like, Are you able to complete all assignments, or do a lot of things kind of get pushed to the side? Are you more careless? Do you lose paperwork a lot? Do you lose things a lot? Are you a little less organized? Just think about that. And it's not a judgment, or it's not a right or a wrong. It's just a self-inquiry. And and this is one of the main things that I want this podcast to be about, is self-inquiry, and really looking at ourselves and asking ourselves, do I do that? Is that true for me? Is that something that I see that has manifested in my life? And could this be why? So look at it from that perspective, and not more so of a judgment perspective. Don't judge yourself. And I'm surely not judging you, because I too have been, I wouldn't know what to say to you if I didn't experience it, basically. When I go to hotel rooms, uh, you know, I still fix my bed every morning, knowing that somebody obviously is going to come fix it. Even during checkout, I'll still make the bed, knowing that obviously they're going to come and take the sheets and have to clean the sheets and what have you not. But I still do it, and it's really not about the fact that I'm making the bed for it to look pretty or for it to look nice or anything like that. There's intention behind why I'm making the bed, and I feel a difference in my day when I start my day that way. When I start my day with you know, with a solution-based mindset. The third thing that a monk does is chanting and meditation. And they do this before they have interaction with the outside world. And there's no phone usage or anything. They're still in that state of being where the mind is still pure, the mind is still clear. There hasn't been a lot of interaction. For me, I mentioned it briefly earlier. I do 2 hours of morning practice. And I do this before I touch my phone, before I interact with people mostly. And it's such a beautiful thing to practice, because again, we are constantly receiving information. So it's very beautiful to still have a clear mind, and to strengthen it through these practices, through whatever the practice is that you do, whether it be maybe you run, or you meditate, or you do yoga, or you dance, or whatever it is. It's a different feeling when you go into a practice without all of the distractions already, because the mind will do that by itself, right? Like sometimes I wake up and I'm already thinking about so much, and I'm like, dang, like what? I didn't even talk to anyone or anything. The mind will already do that. It completely shifts the trajectory of how I interact with the world. Once I've done that, I feel so much more mindful of how I'm interacting and what I'm saying and what I'm doing, and how I'm behaving. I feel much more aware and much more in tune, and I feel like I have a lot more freedom of choice in how I'm responding versus being more reactive. When I used to work in the fashion industry, I just constantly like rushing. As soon as I got into work, it was go, 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 and just all over the place. And by the end of the day, I got nothing done. I was doing a lot of stuff. I think I said this before, doing a lot of stuff, a lot of reacting all day. And when I really thought about it, what did I actually do today? Nothing. Nothing at all. And this brings me to just the productivity piece. When you are grounded, when you are calm, when when you have kind of laid the groundwork for your day in the morning already, productivity will naturally happen. Productivity will flow into you. Sometimes I sit in meditation, and I get so many answers to questions that I had, or I get so many ideas, places that I was stuck. It just flows and pours into me, and by the time I'm done with meditation, I can just flow into my day. We tend to have a do more, get more mindset. The more things I do, the more productive I will be. But actually, it tends to work uh, opposite of that. You know, you can do a lot of things. That's no problem. We can all just do a bunch of stuff, but it's just doing. It's just simply that. It doesn't mean that it's productive. And in order to really be productive, there has to be mindfulness there. And another thing that a monk does as a part of their daily routine is giving. So they perform an act of generosity and they give something. So for monks, they practice alms. I'm actually in my second module of my 1 year yoga and Vedanta teachings. And this module is actually about karma yoga, and it's about right action and right attitude, and it's about giving. It's about maximum contribution. It's about what am I putting into the pot and not what I'm taking out of the pot. How much can I put into the pot? And one of the focuses of this part of my teachings is to intentionally give something to someone every day and be mindful of how that feels in the mind and the body when you are on the giving side. Not receivership, but givership, giving something to someone, and it can be anything, even if it's a kind thought or kind words or a gesture, a smile, but intentionally giving and you know exploring and um, experiencing what that feels like. So that is such a special teaching, and I'm really excited to be in that teaching because we spend a lot of time interacting with other people and stuff. And I think a lot of us, and I think it's the conditioning of the world. We go into a lot of things with what can I get? What can I get out of this? What's in it for me? And I think when you start your day with this attitude of what can I give to someone, you know, and it takes away from everything is about me mindset, and it puts us into this mindset of unity. And, just having someone else in mind, and it creates space for less ego. We go into the world with less ego, um, less unhealthy ego, I should say. I want to make sure I say that. We go into the world with less unhealthy ego and considering others and thinking about others. And every morning, for me, my morning act of generosity looks like picking a flower up from the ground, one that has fallen from the tree. I don't uproot it. But I go to the front of my garden, and there's this beautiful tree, and every night some flowers fall from it, and I pick two of these flowers, one for myself, one for my partner, and I prepare our morning breakfast, I call it. And it's the tools, some tools that we use before our morning practice. We drink a teaspoon of honey and some water, and we have a turmeric and a neem ball, and we have a spoonful of ghee. And these are just things that we are playfully experimenting with on our journey and seeing how they feel for us based on some of the teachings we received. So I prepare this, and then I leave a flower. And every morning, I prepare it very, very beautifully and very intentionally. Um, I prepare this little breakfast, this little experimental breakfast that we have going on, and I leave the flower there. And this flower he uses to set his sankalpa, his intention for his day when he does his practice. That's how I start my day with a generous act, and it will look different for everyone. If I didn't have a someone so close in living space with me, there are so many other ways. Just sending a sweet message to someone. Telling someone something kind about themselves. Sometimes the staff that comes over to, the villa, I'll give them a flower to put behind their ear. Or, you see someone on the street and you tell them that they're beautiful, or, you give something away that you can afford to give away, obviously. And or you feed an animal on the street, or there's an ant on you, and instead of killing the ant, you take the ant and place it into a bush. There's so many ways. There's so many ways, but it really allows you to practice yoga. And yoga is unity, right? Yoga is not just bending, flexing, stretching, and all that stuff, because that's what I thought it to be a few years ago. But it's unity, and that act of generosity allows you to see, or kind of deflates that ego of I, me, myself. I really enjoy that part, because it really does deflate the ego, and it really does allow you to go out into the world without this constant taking. I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to take this. Uh, in order for you to be useful, you must give me this, or you must do this for me, or you don't matter. So it kind of like takes that away, and there's just that sense of, okay, it's not, everything's just not about me. you know, it's not about me, it's about us. Everything is about us. How is this useful? A daily routine creates discipline, creates intention. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Where is my time going? Um, what habits am I forming? What habits am I strengthening? Are they more uplifting, or are they negating? When I do these specific tasks every day, when I do these things every day, how am I feeling in my mind and my body? And a daily routine is not about productivity. It's not about how much can I get done. It's about how mindful can I be about what's happening around me, what's happening in me. How accountable can I be for my time, for myself? What actions am I taking? Because actions yield results. If I'm taking these actions, these are the results that I will get. And am I aware of that? Do I like the results that I'm getting? Do I like the way that my day is panning out? Because if I don't like the way that my day is panning out, then more than likely I'm not going to like the way that my life is happening. Because all of those moment-to-moment actions that I'm taking that construct my day are also those same day-to-day actions that construct my life. So it's not just about a daily routine to get stuff done or to check a bunch of stuff off of a list. It's about, how am I creating my life? How am I living my life? What actions am I taking to support my life? And I want this podcast to be about self-inquiry. This is so important to me. I'm very passionate about self-inquiry and how we are experiencing ourselves, how we explore ourselves, and really presenting questions and perspectives and ideas that allow us to go back and really contemplate these things for ourselves. Don't take anyone's word ever. Experiment with it yourself. See if it works. And if it doesn't work, don't use it. If it does work, then I invite you to. But I definitely think, in my experience with daily routine, it has shifted my life in beautiful ways. And I won't sit here and say that every day my routine goes exactly how I want it to go, or everything works out, in in a way that's ideal. But you can see very clearly, if you monitor this, transformation happening. You can see it because you are creating the you're creating the story. You're creating the life. You're creating that. So a lot of us, we don't see the connection. I snooze my alarm 6 times this morning, but eventually I got up and I did what I thought I had to do. And we don't see I'm a procrastinator. I procrastinate a lot. We don't make those connections. And I think it's very important to experiment with your life. Experiment with your life. Question yourself. Let's ask ourselves these questions in deep thought, in deep love, and with open hearts, with non-judgment, with with wonder, full of wonder, full of wonder. Wow, I wonder how. I wonder what. Wow. Let's go into it with that mindset and just see. It's a very clear link of, what you ate, what you have for dinner or breakfast or lunch, and what emotions you experience, and you know um, your thought process and what's actually happening right in front of you. So many clear links, but that's why we discover. Uh, that's why we're playful with life. That's why we wonder. That's why we're curious. That's why we experiment. That's why we don't take anyone's word, but we say, okay, I hear you. I'll see for myself.